Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bible reading plan. We're in Acts 25 today, and Paul is working his way through these courts, through these hearings, and he is in Acts 25. He has been, for 2 years in Caesarea. Felix was waiting on Paul to bribe him. Paul did not bribe him. Felix is replaced by a governor named Festus, and Festus agrees to hear Paul out, and while he is at his hearing, some Jews had come down from Jerusalem and were testifying against Paul. But Paul, in verse 8, it says, Paul argued in his defense, neither against the law of the Jews, nor against the temple, nor against Caesar have I committed any offense. So he says, I'm innocent. But Festus, wishing to do the Jews a favor, said to Paul, do you wish to go up to Jerusalem and there be tried on these charges before me? Festus is trying to kind of cater to these Jews who want him in their courts and they can punish him. And in verse 10 it says, but Paul said, I am standing before Caesar's tribunal where I ought to be tried. To the Jews I have done no wrong, as you yourself know very well. If then I am a wrongdoer and have committed anything for which I deserve to die, I do not seek to escape death. He says he does not seek to escape death, but he has done nothing wrong. And he says, but if there is nothing to their charges against me, no one can give me up to them. I appeal to Caesar. And Festus says, if you appeal to Caesar, then Caesar you will go. So Paul he asks to go before Caesar. And this is a fulfilling of, the scripture, the prophecy that God tells Ananias at the beginning of Acts, he will speak to kings. And this is the most powerful man in the world, the Caesar, Augustus at the time, or it's Nero at the time, and he is going to go to Nero to speak with him. So we see Festus says, okay, you can go to Caesar. And then when King Agrippa, the king of the Jews, hears about this is a king of the Jews. Kings were reinstated by Rome when Rome was occupied, or when Israel was occupied by Rome, and the Jews were under Roman control. The Caesar reinstated the king of the Jews, which hadn't been reinstated since they had been kind of taken over by Babylon and released by Persia. So it's been a long time since they had one, but now they have a king anyways. Paul goes before Agrippa, who's really interested, which fulfills the prophecy of him speaking to kings again. And he says in verse 22, I would like to hear the man myself. So he hears him and he goes before him. And we're going to talk about that a lot tomorrow. But the thing I want to ask you is, are you relaxed in your life? No, I don't mean relaxed like your house is clean, your chores are done, everything is put in order in your life. Are you relaxed in your life knowing that God is sovereign over all things? Because I look at Paul's life, I look at the life of Jesus, and they live a life. Yeah, they had stress. Yeah, they had troubles. Yeah, they had really difficult times, but they lived a life where they were relaxed knowing that God had everything in control. Knowing the sovereignty of God gives us a sense of peace, knowing that God has all things in control. And there was a quote that used to be popular. It says, God is doing 10,000 things and I may be aware of 3 of them. Do you live your life in stress, or do you live your life in peace, in relaxation, knowing that God is doing 1,000 things, 10,000 things, and you're only aware of 3 of them? That your life isn't controlled just by you. It is controlled by God who's working all things. Romans 8 says he's working all things together for the good of those, for his chosen people. And his will for our lives is that we may look more like Jesus, that we may be sanctified. He's working us towards that, and he's working all things together for the good of his purpose, which is to, sanctify us and get glory for himself. So I would just ask you today, are you relaxed or are you stressed out? Are you trying to drive the car of your life? Because Paul was not, and Paul found himself in positions of, positions that no other man found himself in, opportunities no other man found themselves in, just because he had faith in God. He got to speak to kings, share the gospel, have the biggest impact on for Christianity that we've seen. Just because he was faithful, because he knew that God had all things in control, and he lived a life that was faithful, and he didn't try to control take control for himself. But I thank you for joining me in Acts 25. Paul's going to continue to be yanked around, but he's going to have faith that while he doesn't necessarily know exactly what God's doing, he knows that God has everything in control. He knows God has that is doing the 10,000 things when he only knows about the 3 of those things. But I thank you for joining me. I hope to see you tomorrow in Acts chapter 26. Bye.